Business across the emerging Europe region are dealing with an unprecedented series of challenges related to geopolitics, macroeconomics, society, demographics, technology. But these issues also create some unique opportunities for growth, agility, and resilience. Today, we're looking at the role of digitization in the emerging Europe region's growth. My name is Andrew Wrobel, and I have two excellent guests with me today. Michelle Simmons, General Manager, CEE Multi Country Region at Microsoft, and Mariusz Chudy, Technology Alliances Leader at PwC Central and Eastern Europe. Welcome to Live on EE.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hello, and it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's get to the point straight away. Where is the emerging Europe region now as far as growth prospects are concerned, and what is hindering that growth, and how can we possibly facilitate more progress here in Central and Eastern Europe?
Perhaps I can start. You already mentioned the major economic, societal, and technological changes that we're seeing right now as a result of the macroeconomic environment. And businesses across Central and Eastern Europe are facing high energy costs, inflation, supply chain disruption, all sorts of external factors that they need to address. And one insight from the latest PwC Central and Eastern Europe CEO survey that struck me was that there's a large majority of CEOs in the region who are pessimistic about the economy in general, yet they're much more optimistic about their own company's ability to address these prospects. So there's a little bit of a dichotomy about what they're seeing externally versus the perception that they have and how they can respond.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And what I want to say, Central and Eastern Europe region has been playing even more important role on the global scene than ever. This is mainly due to the geopolitical conflict in Ukraine. But also there are many global and economic trends that are impacting our region. And thanks, Michelle, for doing this reference to the PwC CEO survey we just released. I can only add that basically there are three major concerns that CEOs are raising in our region. The first one is of course related to inflation, and it's even a bigger concern than globally. I mean, 55% of CEOs are afraid of inflation. Second one is the geopolitical conflict. It's almost 50%, and it's double the number that global CEOs are rising. And the third one is the macroeconomic situation. And how it will impact the companies. On the other hand, if we look in a bit longer term perspective, you will see that cybersecurity makes another concern. It used to do it in the past, but due to the current situation, it's maybe a bit farther in a one-year perspective. But longer term perspective says that, first of all, CEOs are aware that they need to strengthen their IT infrastructure and their IT ecosystem. On the other hand, for me personally, this is a message that companies in CEE need to transform, and it will be a technology-driven transformation. And this is also kind of reflected in the Microsoft CEE Digital Futures Index. I really like it, but I want to say it's a holistic view, because it says that technology is a kind of foundation, but it's not the only condition that needs to be made. I mean, digital skills, digital leadership, and hybrid working culture are also important to enable this kind of transformation of the future.
So it's the digital economy that we're looking at, and I know that Microsoft has a vision here as well for the region. Michelle.
Yes, our vision for Central and Eastern Europe is to make the region a digital heartbeat of the area. So really to enable businesses, people, communities across Central and Eastern Europe to grow and create opportunity through digital innovations. And this was built on what Mariusz was mentioning earlier about the Digital Futures Index, where we looked across a number of publicly available data points and tried to connect what is being leveraged from a digitization perspective to understand the impact that it has on societal and economic prosperity for different countries.
Mariusz, you want to add something here?
I can only say that I agree. I mean, basically, our region is facing another wave of challenges, and you know, the only answer is to transform, and it has to be a technology-driven transformation and digital transformation of a company. We could see that during the COVID-19 pandemic, and now it's even more important. And I would add that basically, even in our CEO survey, CEOs say that basically, if they transform, they will thrive. They will their companies will be growing on the market. Otherwise, they will disappear in more than 10 years, and that's
exactly.
That's a very important message for everyone.
And it's actually great that they do understand that they see that without digital transformation, they will not be able to go quite far. So what do businesses and also public institutions have to do differently to make sure that they are ready to succeed in the future, that they are more agile and more resilient? Do you have any examples of companies that have already done it that could serve as a great way of succeeding in the future for others?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Mariusz mentioned two significant trends. One is around the digitalization that happened as a result of COVID, and also around cybersecurity. And both of these topics have become board discussions. They're not just sitting within IT anymore. And so we are seeing customers who are looking to increase their efficiency, their productivity, and their resiliency, while also looking for opportunities to innovate and to grow. And this is equally important during times of constraint, is to not only address the challenges as far as your operations, but also look for new opportunities. And we are seeing that with a few customers. For example, in Poland, Żabka Nano stores are using analytics in order to track shopping experience. And so a customer can walk into a store that does not have a cashier, that doesn't have checkout lines. It's a very efficient process that they can shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they have over 50 stores already launched that are completely autonomous, close to 2 million products using this technology just in the last year. And so they're looking at how they can innovate in this period of time.
Yes, maybe I would add that every business and digital transformation has to be cloud driven. And the situation is that CEE companies are lagging a bit behind. Based on our research, we say that that actually only 13% of companies in our region say that their cloud maturity is high. And the situation, you know, if you compare it, for example, to the United States, you will see that 50% of companies perceive their cloud maturity as high. What does it mean? It means that US and Western companies are more focused on innovations and finding new business opportunities thanks to the technology, while CEE was still kind of stuck in the cost optimization and legacy systems footprint minimization. And this is the situation we are observing, but there is a good message coming out of there. First of all, there are companies that innovate and are really pioneers in that area. And Michelle mentioned Żabka. It's a great example. This is a company that is investing heavily in technology and tries to innovate as much as possible. And they are not a regional pioneer. I would say they are a global pioneer, because if you take into account their autonomous stores, they are thinking towards a kind of frictionless shopping, which is far away from what other companies do in our region. So I would say that there are these pioneers, and others should join them. The second message is that basically we are a bit late in the game, but this is an asset, not a kind of not a concern, because basically our CEE companies now understand the cloud. They know how to transform, and they will do it faster. Okay, so the same digital transformation, which took like 2 or 3 years, it will be faster and done even in months in the CEE. And I would also mention the financial sector before we move to other industries, because based on our reports, cutting through the noise, we compared CEE banks with their global competitors. And what we observed is that basically it doesn't matter where you do the business. What matters is how much you are investing in innovations, digital and cloud. And those leaders, cloud leaders, are 20% more profitable and 10% more cost efficient, and they are basically spend 5 times more on cloud than the laggards, those companies, those banks that are still sitting there. And if you look at the banking sector in our region, it's still very innovative and shifting from on-site branches towards mobile applications and all these cross functions you have, new products, insurance, retail, cooperation. This is great kind of foundation for future innovation, and this is something which could be brought to the global scene. That's why I'm based on these numbers, I'm really confident that our region, the businesses here, will quickly transform and jump over their competition in the West.
I think we had. Go ahead, Michelle.
I wanted to touch on one of the comments that you made about companies in Central and Eastern Europe moving to the cloud more quickly now. And I see that coming from two areas. One is around building resiliency and how they can perhaps navigate through challenging economic times, such as during COVID. We saw Czech Muse, which is a company here in Prague, where I'm based, that provides software operations to more than 3,000 hotels in 70 countries. And because they were on the cloud, they were able to scale down their business during COVID, but also be more agile and innovate as well. And so when the time came, they could scale back up. So this idea of resilience and innovation is key, as well as cybersecurity, which we mentioned earlier. The cloud is providing opportunity for customers who perhaps didn't have access to the same type of skills needed in order to protect themselves from a security perspective. And now they have that capability built in through the cloud. And they can leverage all of the trillions of signals, for example, that Microsoft captures on a daily basis in order to make sure that we're providing the most secure environment to our customers.
So maybe just one more comment. I totally agree. Cyber security is a top topic. I mean, it's not on the CEO top 3 items agenda for the next 12 months, but it is still very relevant. And having in mind that our region is going through and will go through many turbulences, I believe that having this, resilience and cyber security approach in-house implemented is something that is critical for doing business in our region. However, it's not about doing it alone. It's about using the best solutions. Cloud solutions are the most secure solutions we've ever known. Our PwC CEE report, Cutting Through the Noise, is saying that cloud leaders generate 30% more revenue from the same value of IT spend and are 2 times quicker when it comes to their time to market and 3 times more reliable when it comes to cybersecurity. It's very important that cloud is a foundation platform for digital transformation.
So I need to touch on sustainability here and sustainable growth of Central and Eastern Europe. How can digitization, support that concept as well?
So maybe I'll comment first then. Definitely sustainability is becoming a top of mind, of course, globally, but it's also relevant here in CEE. It's something that I'm hearing from our customers more and more. And technology can play a really important role in helping them to cut costs and emissions through looking at their own energy consumption, looking at how they can best leverage resources and efficiency as well. And certainly we're seeing that the green transition is not only an imperative, but also an opportunity within Central and Eastern Europe. In fact, we know that establishing green and low emission production capabilities could add $730 billion to European economies by the year 2070. So it is a big opportunity, but one that many customers are still learning about in this region.
Yes, I would add that decarbonization is very important today. This is the environment impact we can minimize, and also what we observe after Russia's invasion on Ukraine. There has been a shift on in the leaders' minds. Because our countries have been so much dependent on the Russian gas, and so basically, if you look at what the CEOs say, they say that half of them in our region say that they need to invest in the energy transition. We need to remember that sustainability is not only about carbon footprint and environment. Right. It's very important, but it's also the impact on society and how we govern our companies and our region. When it comes to the society, it's important. Again, I think that one of the most important items on our agendas should be the digitization of the societies, right? Because then we bring the world to every household. through internet, through cloud solutions, through e-administration services. Very important to remember that this is also a part of the work that CE companies have to do. I mean, not only taking care about their internal matters, but wider impact on the society. And then the governance. I mean, the governance of companies is very important. How they are managed, how they are reporting. Not only tangible assets, but also non-tangible assets, and finally diversity and inclusion. All of this is very important, and is will build the sustainable future for companies in the CEE region.
You mentioned skilling, and I think it's important to call out the role that governments can play in this respect. So we definitely see that across the region, when we look at our Digital Futures Index, there is a correlation between highly skilled technical workforce and societies, and the advanced economic and digitalization in specific countries. And public sector can be a real catalyst in this case, as far as supporting public and private initiatives in order to skill more people, both in technology, but also related back to the sustainability point that we were just making. I think this is an important aspect in order to help ensure that the region remains competitive.
Exactly.
We've seen a lot of that in Ukraine recently, thanks to what the government has been doing in digital transformation or as far as digital transformation of public services is concerned. Do you see that happening in other parts of Central and Eastern Europe as well, where we could draw sort of perhaps lessons from?
Absolutely. Estonia has long been known for being a very digitally advanced government and society. They have an initiative or a program called Bureaucrat, which is a virtual assistant that makes all of their government services more readily available to citizens, really bringing all of their services to the forefront for citizens to utilize. And now they're even taking that to open source development in order to help enable other governments and companies across the region in order to leverage some of the same technology. On the other side of the region, we see great adoption in Malta as well, in proof of concepts about how they can leverage innovation and in order to provide more services to their society as well. They recently did a hackathon where they're using artificial intelligence and satellite imagery to help identify where they have litter and how to keep the island clean. So that goes back to sustainability, but also how, as a government, they can better enable services through digital technology, and a skilled workforce, a skilled society is critical to that.
Yeah, I would echo that. Baltic states are very advanced, and their mindset is very digital, I would say. And the Estonia case, very good case. We worked with the Estonian government on defining the e-services for 9 public sector institutions, and the idea there is that 99%, so almost 100% of public services are online, are digitized. There are also many other examples. I see also local administration, local governments are implementing digital solutions. For example, in the city of Wrocław in Poland, we implemented a call center automation system and customer relationship management tool, which totally automated the way how the city hall is providing their services. And we see it in many other countries. What I would say, and what I like in the Microsoft Digital Futures Index is that the thesis is that when government is becoming more digital, the society is also getting digitized, and it has an impact on all dimensions. And this is also very well presented by European Commission in their Digital Economy and Society Index, where again, CEE countries are lagging a bit behind Western Europe and Nordic countries. But basically, it says that digital public administration is a kind of mandatory component of this digital economy and society. Of course, the cloudification of business, access to internet are as well important, but without digital administration, we cannot talk about full digitization of the society. And we see that CEE countries have done a lot in that space, but there is still a lot to catch up with. For example, our Nordic friends from Finland, what they do is kind of a role model for us to follow. Yeah?
I need to ask you about the talent because the region, Central and Eastern Europe, is absolutely famous for its talent. But how can we fully release the potential of the talent we have in Central and Eastern Europe to make sure that this growth, sustainable growth and technology-driven growth continues and becomes more visible?
Maybe
go
okay.
ahead.
So if I could start, maybe I would say that the talent is a huge asset of our region. We are well known of the engineering talent, and you will see hundreds of thousands IT engineers working in our region, not only for the local companies, but providing solutions for global institutions, banks, technology companies, automotive companies, and it's very, very important. But on the other hand, what we see, business leaders, our clients, our partners are realizing that basically there is a talent shortfall in our region, right? We have a huge talent pool, but it's so much loaded with new innovative projects that we need even more. If you look at our CEO survey, 2/3 of CEOs says that skill shortages will be a top threat for their industry. Okay, while only 1/3 of CEOs say that they have a clear plan to manage that. Okay, so there is still a huge gap we need to manage. We know that we are full of talent. We have, our region is very famous of IT engineers, but on the other hand, we need more. So it's about creating a good, platform, education platform for young people, for student graduates, but also for experienced employees and unemployed, to upskill or reskill towards digital tools and technology.
It is a really interesting challenge in the region, as you were mentioning, Mariusz. There's a very real reputation in the region for having high technical talent, yet I also hear from customers that they're lacking the workforce that has the skills that are needed today. So it really comes to how do we not also just leave it to individuals to study at university and then come to the workforce with perhaps even outdated skills by the time as needs are changing so rapidly. And so it requires an investment and focus not only from individuals and governments, but also employers themselves, in helping employees to get skilled on the latest technology and the technology that's most relevant to their customers. And we saw this recently with EPAM Systems, which is a company originating in the region, yet serves customers, global customers throughout the world, in the US, UK, Europe, and beyond. And they focus and continue to focus on continuous skilling of their own employees to make sure they have the relevant technology, having recently skilled more than 5,000 employees on Microsoft technologies across 14 countries. And so this commitment then not only helps them to be competitive, but also then up levels all of the customers with whom they engage. So it's a real interesting dichotomy of a region known for having technical talent, yet we continue to see this gap, and requires, I think, both a public and private focus in order to make sure that we can remain competitive and help customers to continue to innovate, because we know that every business needs to be a digital business today, and so those skills are absolutely critical.
So my final question for today: how confident are you about the region's future? And I would like a very short answer here.
Maybe I'll summarize in one sentence. And this is a bit of my experience, having lived and worked in both the US and Asia, and now in Central and Eastern Europe. And that is that whenever there's the courage to jump ahead, rather than to just iterate, we can see breakthrough achievements. And I feel strongly that we have the opportunity to do that here in this region.
Mariusz.
Thanks. What I would say, I'm very confident about the future of our region. We have lots of assets, including very talented people here, but also we are in a very difficult, we are living in a very difficult time. So it's basically about converting threats into opportunities. And it has to be based on digitization of our firms and our societies.
So I hear that we stand a high chance of actually making this region the world's digital heartbeat. Michelle and Mariusz, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Enjoy the conversation. Thank you.